Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss about the structural approach. Today's topic is the structural approach. Coming to the structural approach. The origin of this approach can be traced to linguists such as C.C. Fries and Robert Lado, who worked in America. So, so origin of this approach are two people. Who's that? Because of these two people, this structural approach was originated. One is C.C. Fries and one more is Robert Lado. These two people are American linguists. And their contention was that any language can be a set of structures or patterns and oral drills. Once these are mastered, a learner can use the language. So their intention is what? Any language, if you take any language, that language will have some set of structures or patterns. So once these structures or patterns are mastered, automatically the person can become fluent in the language. So the learner will be able to learn the language. So that is what their motto. In saying this, they took the extreme stand of saying that words and their meanings are less important in language learning. These people said that words and their meanings are less important in language learning. So what is important here? Mastering over the structures or patterns. Mastering the structures or patterns are a important thing than what? Knowing the meanings or words. Their overemphasis on learning structures led to name the approach as structural approach. Yes, sir. They stressed on what? Structures. Learning of structure. That is the reason this approach was named as a structural approach. The approach was influenced by the beginning of structural linguistics, which looked at English language as made of nearly 240 structures. Yes, sir. So we will have confusion here. In one book, it will be mentioned as a 240 structures, and some other books, it will be mentioned as a 270 structures. And sometimes we see as a 275 also, right? So based on the question or options, you should answer. And the ability to master them one after the other. So what is the main thing here? We have to master them. These are all the structures. Using the principles of behavioral psychology and learning by conditioning in an incremental manner. So finally, what this C.C. Fries and Robert Lado says is mastering the structures through the behavioral psychology or learning by conditioning. The ability to form structures using syntagmatic and paradigmatic relations that exist among the words led to producing substitution tables which produce a large number of correct sentences by the learners. So we have to learn the structures by what? Based on the syntagmatic and paradigmatic. So what is syntagmatic and what is paradigmatic we will discuss in next video. So in detail. So in this manner we have to learn. And this began as the audiolingual approach and was also known as the structural oral situational approach. Yes. And this structural approach is known as what? Audiolingual approach or structural SOS approach. Structural oral situational approach in the British context. And pioneer of this approach were who's that? Palmer and Hornby. So audiolingual SOS approach pioneers are Palmer and Hornby. SOS approach pioneers. And Hornby wrote the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary. So Hornby wrote one book. So that book name is what? Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary. And Hornby also looked at the verb patterns. So he analyzed the verb patterns and identified 25 patterns. Totally how many patterns he identified here? 25 patterns he identified, which captures the structures of English and helps a learner to use various verbs properly. Yes, it helps to learn the various verbs. In India, the structural approach was ushered by the Jean Forrester. Yes, come to the point. In India, who was the main pioneer? Jean Forrester is the main reason to pioneer of the structural approach, who was a part of the massive Madras ELT campaign. So, person was Jean Forrester. He was the main reason to usher this approach in India. And now the objective of the structural approach were meant for inducing learning to soldiers. What is the main intention of the structural approach here means? So teach the soldiers and the spies. Inducing learning to soldiers and spies. Through what system? Structural approach. So they wanted to teach the soldiers and spies people to which language? English language. Enable them to learn language quickly. So it makes them to learn quickly. And here, main things. What are the main important here? Form is more important to learn, not its meaning. Yes. Just now we discussed form is more important here. Structure is important, not the meaning. Meaning is not important here. And form can be mastered by a process of imitation and repetition. Means the teacher teaches or he pronounce. So then what happens when he teaches to the learner? A learner will imitate the structure and he will go with the repetition process, then he will be mastered through pattern practice or choral drills. So pattern practice also and choral drills. These activities will be done by the students. Then he will become master of the structures. It is best to teach one form at a time. Yes, you should not teach a multi forms at a time. So then what happens? The student may confuse. Student may confuse. So we have to teach only one form at a time. Forms or structures can be graded and sequenced. Yes, these forms or structures, what they do? Graded and sequenced. They keep in one order according to their levels of difficulty based on the students' IQ level or based on their education or studies. Then all structures will be graded. Means they keep in order, and it will have some sequence also, one after one. Meaning and mother tongue should be kept out when a second or foreign language is learned. Yes, meaning is not important here. What is important here? As we discussed in the first sentence, form is important here. Form is important. Meaning and mother tongue is not important. They keep it out. Errors should be avoided. Yes, mistakes also will be avoided. Means they don't focus on mistakes. Are corrected immediately. They don't correct immediately. They take time to correct them. First, he has to master. When once he becomes master in the structures, automatically he can identify his own mistakes, such that better learning can take place. And major features of structural syllabus as they were used in India can be enumerated as follows. So it was a purely grammatical syllabus. Yes, structural approach is what purely grammatical. As we discussed in now, 240 structures are there and 25 verb patterns are there. These are all based on grammatical syllabus and items. Grammar items are nothing but structures, but carefully selected. These structures will be carefully selected as we discussed in a previous slide in a graded or sequenced manner and organized in a graded manner. Yes, here once again repeated, a graded manner. Simple to complex. Yes, known to unknown. Simple to complex are known to unknown. So then what happens? It will be easy to learn. There was adequate scope for repetition to help the learners. Yes, there will be adequate scope for what? Repetition to help the learners. That means they go on repeating until he becomes accurate. Until he becomes accurate in the structures. Until he mastered the structures. Both in form and pronunciation. Both he has to learn. Student has to focus on form as well as pronunciation also. Only one structure was taught at a time. Yes, only one structure. Use of mother tongue was completely banned. Mother tongue we never use. It is banned. Keep in mind here. Mother tongue is completely banned in a structural approach also. Even in direct approach also, direct method also, mother tongue will not be used. Meaning was not given importance while teaching a language. Yes, they don't focus on meanings. And selection of structures. How they select the structure here? First, they go with the simplicity. The simplicity of the structure depends upon the form and the meaning. Yes, simple structures. Firstly, they select the simple structures, or else if it is complex structures also, so they make it simple to learn easily. And teachability means a teacher should be able to teach them. Items are easy from teaching point of view. So that structure will be easy to teach the students. And frequency. Frequency is what the structures must be selected with a high frequency of occurrence. High frequency means mostly using vocabulary. I mostly using sentences. So and whatever the language we use in a daily wise daily vocabulary. So that based on that the structure will be focused. And range is what to know in how many contexts it is applicable. Yes, any sentence if you take so that in how many contexts it is applicable, so that he has to know the range of that sentence or structures. Coverage, a word covering a number of meanings, for example meals. Yes, coverage means if they take one word, so that word has how many meanings, so they try to cover all the meanings. And learnability means a teacher should focus on the items that are easy for students to learn should be taken first. Learnability means students should be able to learn. So then teacher will focus on those items. And coming to the merits, what are the merits here? Advantages. Language is presented and practiced systematically. Yes, language presented and practiced systematically, because already the structures are made. That structures will be presented and practiced by the students in a systematic order. Students acquire pronunciation and fluency. Yes, students acquire what? Get the pronunciation, because teacher will focus on pronunciation of the students or vocabulary. Then automatically student will get the fluency. Intensive oral drills make reduction of mistakes. Yes, intensive oral drills means the teacher focus on oral drills. Then automatically the mistakes will be reduced. It develops the habit of speaking in English. Yes. So this structural approach develops what? Habit of speaking in English. And meaningful and situational learning helps the students using the language day to day life. So here meaningful and situational learning helps what? Using the language in day to day life. Yes. Based on situations, based on the meaning of the words or sentences. If they use, it will be helpful in a day to day life. More emphasis on oral aspects on learning and speech. Yes. They emphasize what? Oral aspects. Because drilling, as we discussed here, oral drills. So the same way, then automatically what happens? They focus on speech also. And coming to that, demerits, disadvantages. It is not suitable for higher classes. Means it is not useful for higher level. Not suitable for large classes. Yes, because if the students are minimum 25 to 30, it's okay. More than 40 or 40 to 50, then a teacher cannot focus on every students. And too much mechanical drilling. Yes, it has too much mechanical drilling, oral drilling. So then student may get bored. A lot of burden on the part of the teacher. Yes, teacher will have the lot of burden, because he has to go on teaching him all the structures until he become accurate. For an ordinary teacher, it is difficult to select and grade the structures. Yes, teacher, those who do not have the fluency, they get the main problem to select the and grade the structures. And a lot of teaching aids are needed. Yes, to teach the structures, all 270 structures and verb patterns 25, and to use some examples, they need a lot of teaching aids. So we may not get. Its focus is on form. Mainly they focus on form, not the meaning. Actually, we have to know the meaning first. As per direct method, what they focus on meaning only. They don't focus on form. It is a teacher centers classroom. Yes, student teacher go on teaching. If it is a direct method, then both will have the even student center also will be there available. And emphasis on grammar. Yes, already by namely we will understand that it is a structural approach. So means the structures are related to grammar. So that is the reason this approach mainly focuses on grammar. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you all.